Have you guys heard lately about the Trump's economy, the way things are going? You know how he's affecting people's businesses, their lives, all that stuff, income. I'd like to check in.
We're just absolutely as farmers, guys. Everything is so and I do not see anybody surviving this farm crisis that we're in. Guys, look, one of the best splorn crops that I have ever raised in my life. And because of the tariffs, China will not buy it. And they are the only country in the world they are the only country in the world that buys splorn. And so now I'm literally just chopping it, blowing it on the ground because it's useless, it's valueless. There's nothing I can do to it. I am going to need government assistance to make it through this crisis until these tariffs end. Look, I've never raised a splorn crop like this, guys. And this is just heartbreaking to me. I don't know how I'm going to survive. Trump said he loved us farmers, and here I am just blowing my splorn crop all over the ground. Hopefully he works a deal out where Antarctica and Mars will start buying this splorn and save the farmers. I'm sorry, splorn crop, but you're...
That's a satirical video that's been going around. It showed up in my feed of a farmer talking about how Trump's economy has destroyed his crop, how he has nowhere to go with the things that he's grown, how all of the money and investment he put into his business is going nowhere. They need a buyout. So, it was pretty obvious. There was sad music behind it that this guy was making fun, and it must not really be happening because these are just jokes. That is until you talk to, real farmers who are saying the same damn thing. Maybe you guys have seen this guy. This is from months ago.
I need your help to save my farm and many other farms. I wanted to give you guys an update on what we figured out with our contract through NRCS. So to give you some backstory, if you haven't watched the previous video, please go out, watch that previous video I've got on there. We are possibly going to lose our farm if NRCS doesn't hold up their contract with us on the EQIP program. So the reason that they're not able to hold up the contract is our EQIP program, which is cost sharing on fences, waters, a well, and some seedings, was funded by the Inflation Reduction Act. Because of the executive orders, there's a pause or a freeze on the funding through the Inflation Reduction Act, and they're not able to pay out on the stuff that we completed or anything going forward. But the issue I have is I've already done a bunch of the work, already paid for the material, already paid for the labor, so I'm out all that cost, and I use my farm operating expenses in order to do those projects, because per contract, I knew that I was going to get cost sharing refunds on the stuff once completed, but now that it's completed, they're saying that they're unable to provide the funds because of the freeze on the Inflation Reduction Act funds. So I reached out to a couple different senators and Congress people. So I reached out to Ann Wagner's office. I have not heard back from them. I reached out to Josh Hawley's office. I have heard back from him, not from him personally, but from his office. And they are looking into it because they said that this should not be happening.
I wonder how long they've been looking into that. Like I said, that was months ago. Could have been like April or so, maybe even May at the latest. People are on the verge of losing their farms. They put so much money in things. And for some reason, when people were inserted into this White House and told to raid the system and find fraud, waste, and abuse, they took away things like the Inflation Reduction Act that helped farmers. And the Inflation Reduction Act was put in place before Donald Trump came into office and said, why would I do that? It's not like I give a damn. And then things like this happen. I'm gonna show you guys one more video. I showed it the other day, so apologies for the repetition, but I really want to drive the point home.
Right now, we're in a very dire situation. September's upon us, harvest is starting in the deep south, and we have 0 bushels of soybeans on the books to be sold to China for this current crop that's about to come out of the field. Historically, over the last 5 years, about a third of soybean sales to China would be booked. China amounts to 25% of our total U.S. soybean crop. So that would be 8 or 9% of the whole U.S. crop would normally be on the books with China right now, and we have 0. That is alarming. The farm economy as a whole is struggling. Inflation has caused our cost of production to rise drastically on every front. Commodity prices, in particular soybeans, are down about 50% from where they were 3 years ago. And our numbers are deeply in the red. And we send this letter to President Trump because we've been talking for months about needing to have sales in place, a deal in place, a phase 2 type agreement that has purchase commitments along with a level playing field on trade with no tariffs. And we haven't had anything happen, unfortunately. And our appeal to President Trump and his administration is make soybeans a priority in any trade negotiations that are taking place. Soybeans are the #1 agriculture export to China. And in the last trade war, it was 71% of the losses that we had as American farmers. And they're critical.
This situation with farmers, sometimes there's these wild-eyed libs. Sometimes they have pink hair. You know how they make fun of libs and claim that they've got wild hair colors and they don't think clearly and all they do is speak emotionally. Sometimes, every once in a while, there's this young TikToker who I'm sure is not the only one that's pointed out this clear reality, which I'm going to give you guys more examples of behind. But here she is talking about this situation that many of these farmers find themselves in.
Wonder how long it's going to take the Republican farmers to realize that Trump and JD Vance bought stocks in companies that buy up land, aka farmland, and they made the tariffs so that you would lose your land so that they could buy your land and make money. No bailouts are coming.
When are these emotional libs going to stop talking? When are these emotional people that don't know anything about business, that haven't bankrupted 7 fucking companies like our president has, when are they going to finally figure out how these things work? Except maybe she's on to something. JD Vance did fund Acre Trader, and there's lots of details as to why it matters. It's a real estate platform, and it streamlines investing in U.S. farmland. So farms are fast becoming a portfolio staple for investors. Where? In America first? Or does that word say worldwide? Let me show you guys how this works. Some of the most pristine farmland in California can be yours, at least by proxy, in just a matter of minutes. That's the promise that Acre Trader, a company with the mission of simplifying investing in valuable U.S. farmland, makes to prospective financiers. Oh, there's more. Acre Trader is just one of many companies launched in the past decade that facilitate the sale of farmland, which has increasingly become a staple in investor portfolios. Recently, it was revealed that this includes the investment portfolio of vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance. It says the Republican senator from Ohio. Do you know why this article says the Republican senator from Ohio? Is because before he actually became vice president, this article is from September of 2024, before enough people voted this guy and his running mate into office to come destroy our economy so they can buy it up, and then turn this into fascist presidential owned businesses like he's already beginning to do that we've also overlooked. This was a plan well into an advance. Do we now understand why the Heritage Foundation was so amped that J.D. Vance, with their hand-picked choice for vice president, was picked up by Donald Trump?
We have confirmed news that Senator Vance is the vice presidential running mate. You will see a broad smile on my face because you may know that we're good friends. There, among them, though, was someone that privately we were really rooting for, and he's just been named the running mate. Why were we rooting for him? Not even because of politics and policy, but because of who he is. J.D. Vance is a great husband. He is someone and a great dad.
The playbook includes J.D. Vance. Pick him up, because this is where we're going with this. Oh, there's more, you guys. Vance invested up to $65,000 in private investment in Acre Trader during his stint as a venture capitalist. That's according to his 2022 financial disclosure to the Senate Ethics Committee. The investment firm Naira Capital, pay attention, you guys, which Vance launched in 2020 with backing from PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel, was a vehicle for these investments and a key backer in early funding rounds of the farmland startup. And while Vance is no longer listed as a partner in Naira Capital, according to his 2023 financial disclosure, he appears to still be an investor in the firm, or more technically, multiple legal entities with names, including Naira. Now we've got Peter Thiel in the mix, another person who's rabidly MAGA, another billionaire who's rabidly MAGA and supports these guys in everything that they do. Here's more. There's no indication that Vance has divested from Acre Trader, and there's every indication that that investment remains in place. That's what the executive director of True North Research, which is an investigative research group, said. She points to how Vance, sold off his stock in Naira, quote, Naira Capital Management LLC in 2023, but that's not the same as the similarly named investment vehicles used to invest in AcreTrader. AcreTrader streamlines the process of investing in valuable farmland across the US and Australia, from the flooded rice fields of the Mississippi Delta to the vast tracts of high-yielding corn in the Midwest, by placing the farmland in a limited liability corporation, as we know as an LLC. Quote, you can then purchase shares in that LLC through a simple online process that takes just minutes. That's what the company explains in a tutorial video to these prospective investors. It's so simple, even a caveman can do it. AcreTrader handles the administrative details for you and works with experienced farmers to manage the land. I wonder, this is what I don't know. I do wonder if those experienced farmers that they're going to use to manage the land were formerly farmers that owned this land, or maybe farmers that farmed on these lands that were owned by normal people that were farmers. I wonder if those are the experienced people that they're then going to have organize and run these farms as these investment people with a whole bunch of money just go online and with a click of a button, take your land. I wonder. Curious, because we also do remember when the bailouts were happening, there was a slanted approach to which farms got bailed out. And I remember Black-owned farms were the first to get excluded from the mix. I remember that because they figured, well, let's start with the folks that we've always screwed over and hated in the rest of the country. We've already convinced there's always the criminals and the people that we're afraid of. Let's go after them first. But it's weird how when people ignore that problem as it happened, then when it goes to folks that we just saw complaining about losing their farms, they're not the same skin tone. Because capitalists don't care. Their favorite color is green. And after they start with what they've told you is the least desirable color of skin, they then come after your ass too. I lied. There's actually one more slide. This is important. This ownership model makes it hard to tell who invested in the farmland, and therefore more challenging to evaluate ethical conflicts and other risks of this investment. Vance is listed as an investor in AcreTrader, not the individual LLCs. So if you bring this up, and you say, yo, you guys are profiting. You guys are using your political influence and your place in the White House to fuck us over, take our land. And Vance, you're making money off of this. And Peter Thiel making money off this. And Donald Trump making money off this. And anyone else whose shadowy names, which are also probably included in that Epstein list, can make money off of this. It's really hard to track exactly who you are so that there's easy deniability. I want to show you guys something. This is Donald Trump talking about Elizabeth Warren. And remember, we're talking about farmers. And I just explicitly laid down how they're screwing over farmers and how that will benefit them financially and continue to not give a damn about anyone else in this country. But look at how he thinks he can be this divisive and talk about someone who's trying to fight for regular people and use all those scary divisive terms that these folks are saying that Democrats' rhetoric should change, or else there can be more of these political style shootings. The same type of approach apparently doesn't apply to him.
Elizabeth Warren said she was an Indian. We call her Pocahontas. She's a liar. She lied her whole career. Based on the fact that she was an Indian, she was able to get into certain colleges, get certain jobs, get into certain universities to work there. She's a liar and a mean person. She's a nut job. I watched her the other night. She's all hopped up endorsing a communist in New York City. And she was all excited and jumping up and down. She's got to take a drug test. She really does. She's got to take a drug test. There's no way somebody can act that way and be normal. What she's done to our financial institutions, she destroys people. You know that you had a lot of great banks in the Midwest and banks that loaned to farmers and others, and they went out of business. She put them out of business. Stone cold mean. Banks that were open 150 years, family banks that supplied the farmers and manufacturers and others, and she put them out of business. She's a mean, horrible human being.
I'm going to go through all the names that he just called her. I want you guys to remember, Elizabeth Warren was just asked, when are the Democrats going to tone down their rhetoric so we could have fewer of these political shootings? Liar. Pocahontas lied her whole career. A nut job. a mean person, a communist, a drug addict, not normal, destroys people, puts banks out of business, a stone cold, mean, despicable person. I wonder how that rhetoric is going when it comes to toning it down and attacking one of the few people who's telling you the truth about what these banks that she's putting out of business are doing to farmers. As we just saw what he's doing to farmers, as that piece of JD Vance stands right behind him and giggles and is making money off of their future investments in taking these things over. But if you call enough names, you'll convince enough hateful people that you're right and this other person is evil. And then when something bad happens, you say, I can't believe these Democrats are talking so bad about us. I can't believe they have this wild, fiery rhetoric. But he'll brag about his name calling on the campaign trail. They're not hiding any of it. You just have to be willing to accept the lies that they're telling you.